There is and God, I know I'm one. My mother was a tailor. She sewed my liberty. But my father was a gambler, down in New Orleans. Now the only thing the gator needs is a suitcase and a trunk. And the only time he's satisfied, it's when he's on a drunk. Oh, mother, tell your children not to do what I have done. Or spend your life in sin and misery in the house of the rising sun. Well, I got one foot on the platform, the other foot on the train. I'm going back to New Orleans, to where that ball and chain. Yeah, that red flag in New Orleans. Let it go, there rising sun. And it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. Thank God I know I'm one. Thank God I know I'm one. Thank God I know I'm one.
This is the dawning of the age of awareness. Welcome to the Real Mighty Joe Show. I have banners. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We are the news now. All that shit. So tonight's show, to be honest, I didn't have a lot called up. I had a couple of really good conversations today. I've had a couple of really heavy days. So let me just tell you what's going on with me. My lady's fine, absolutely fine. She was going in for a procedure yesterday and it got complicated and she has to go in again today. She won't be back until late tonight. Her parents over there. She's great. Everything's good. She's healthy. She's fine. But, we're, just, I've had a lot of stuff dealing with that and doctors and stuff. So I'm home alone right now. I'm man in the fort by myself over here. Ship Mighty Joe. Um, there's a lot of different things I want to share with you guys tonight, but I wanted to kind of start off with a little bit of a story, or just kind of important things. Let's say important notes going forward. All right. So first and foremost, I want you all to know a little bit about me, how I got into this, why I do this, what I'm doing, or what I'm trying to do with this platform. A little bit of that. So, um, yeah, my name is Joe. That is true. My last name's Davis. I'll put that out there as well. I I'm tired. I'm tired of being silent. I've spent my entire life. Let's start the story the right way, I guess. I was born in 1984. I'm not allowed to you. I'm not afraid you guys know any bit of information about myself. First of all, because at this point, I grew up in the generation where my information is online and you can find it out. So it is what it is, and I've accepted that reality. I've accepted the reality. I've been on lists for a long time as well, as news breaks that people are on lists. So I was born in 1984. I think that's extremely relevant to our current time and what's going on uh, in society right now. And I look at everything and I say, hey, we were the last generation that grew up before computers, before social media, before cell phones. It's like a dying breed. It's a dying reality. We had a real childhood, and there's a real cultural divide there that we need to bridge the gap of. So who am I? I'm a person that was born in the right time, at the right place, that met the right people, that learned the right things to be where I am today. And where am I today? I'm at a place right now where I'm trusting that everything I give to this purely and with a truthful intention will come back to me threefold, and we will see where it goes from there, because that's what I was taught, and that's how it works from my perspective. And so I have a lot of truth to give. I have a lot of knowledge to give. What gives me a right to speak about what's going on in the world and society, and what, like, who am I? Why do I have a voice? Well, I'm you. I'm a normal fucking person. I'm just sick of being quiet. And all the great people that I used to listen to that had great voices, that were standing up and speaking, they all got censored and canceled. And so here I am. I have 130 something subscribers. I'll keep going until they nuke me. I don't give 10 flying fucks about this channel. I started it for the sake of, well, originally I started for my music and my poetry, but I've committed it to this because that's what it's for now. So we're gonna drive it into the ground, and I don't give 10 flying fucks about it. And I think that's what everybody's got to do. At this point, they're trying to censor us left and right. Code Monkey Z is a guy I follow. I'm just doing a skull session with you guys. I got clips and all sorts of stuff I'll play you guys. Trust me, we're gonna go into it tonight. But Code Monkey Z apparently was nuked off of Telegram today. He was in the middle of typing up a write-up about the Pegasus hack, which if you haven't heard about it, I did play a clip about that in my last show. Basically, an Israeli private company has been selling backdoor software into loopholes of like iOS and Apple, both, or iOS and Android. I mean, both as well. So I mean, you got two companies complacent and cooperating with it. It's intelligence gathering, snooping on journalists, snooping on heads of state. And so Cold Monkey was about to drop some stuff about that on Telegram. His Telegram, he no longer has access to his own Telegram. He is on Gab. It's the only true account he still has, to the best of my knowledge. His moderator, he has one moderator that's still talking on his Telegram, but basically all of his channels are compromised. And again, that's the guy who used to be the moderator of 8chan and then 8kun. And then he stepped down January 19th. So, I mean, the shit is what it is, man. I mean, there's a lot going on in this world. And I think a lot of it's for optics, I'm not really sure where it's all going to go. And so this is actually going to be a good point. I guess this is a segue into where we're going to start our show tonight. So welcome to the Real Mighty Joe Show. That was my, what do they call that? Dry open or whatever, clean open, all that shit. But yeah, I got some stuff to say to you guys tonight. But first, I want to take advantage of the fact that I can click memes and put them on screen just like this. So we got this one. Yeah. And we got this one. And we got this one. All right. We're going to leave it there for now. But, all right. Well, I hope that got y'all warmed up for what I'm about to do to you. So we're going to see what happens next. We're going to go down a series of rabbit holes together, my friends. We're going to start here, actually, where I started. Because, again, I was born in 1984, and, I was, a kid in high school during the 9/11 and all that crap. And, my own father, he watched Fox News. He called me a terrorist for questioning the narrative, like, that shit's real. So this particular film is one that guided me along the way quite a bit. And it's an important film I think most people should check out or study. It's called Money Masters. It was made in 1996. I'm going to pop the link up in the comments here for everybody. Well, we're going to just watch, a couple minutes of it. It's a 3-hour documentary. It's quite boring. And again, it was made in 1996 by economists that predicted what we're witnessing now. So let's just kind of look at this. Some video cassette crap. We'll get there.
What's going on in America today? Why are we over our heads in debt? Why can't the politicians bring debt under control? Why are so many people, often both parents now, working at low-paying, dead-end jobs and still making do with less? What's the future of the American economy and way of life? Why does the government tell us inflation is low when the buying power of our paychecks is declining at an alarming rate? Only a generation ago, bread was a quarter, and you could get a new car for $19.95.
The problem is that since 1864, we've had a debt-based banking system. All our money is based on government debt. We cannot extinguish government debt without extinguishing our money supply. That's why talk of paying off the national debt without reforming our banking system is an impossibility. That's why the solution does not lie in discussing the size of the national debt. Rather, it lies in reforming our banking system. This is the Federal Reserve headquarters in Washington. It sits on this very impressive address, right on Constitution Avenue, right across from the Lincoln Memorial. But is it federal? Is it really part of the United States government? Well, what we're about to show you is that there's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve, and there are no reserves. The name is a deception created back before the Federal Reserve Act was passed in 1913 to make Americans think that America's central bank operates in the public interest. The truth is that the Federal Reserve is a private bank owned by private stockholders and run purely for their private profit.
That's exactly correct. The Fed is a privately owned for-profit corporation, which again has no reserves, at least no reserves available to back up the Federal Reserve notes, which is our common currency.
Oh, absolutely. The Federal Reserve is neither federal and has doubtful reserves. It's a private bank that is owned by member banks. And it was chartered under the guise of deceit by an act of Congress in 1913.
If there's still any doubt whether the Federal Reserve is a part of the U.S. government, check your local telephone book. In most cities, it is not listed in the blue government pages. It is listed in the business white pages right next to Federal Express, another private company. But more directly, U.S. courts have ruled time and time again that the Fed is a private corporation. Why can't Congress do something about the Fed? Most members of Congress just don't understand the system, and the few who do are afraid to speak up. For example, initially, a veteran congressman from Chicago asked us if he could be interviewed for this video. However, both times our camera crew arrived at his office to do the interview, this was all we were able to film. The congressman never appeared and eventually decided he no longer wanted to participate. But a few others in Congress have been bolder over the years. Here are 3 quick examples. In 1923, Representative Charles A. Lindbergh, a Republican from Minnesota and father of the famed aviator Lucky Lindy, put it this way: the financial system has been turned over to the Federal Reserve Board. That board administers the finance system by authority of a purely profiteering group. The system is private, conducted for the sole purpose of obtaining the greatest possible profits from the use of other people's money.
Gotta unmute my own self here. But yeah, I mean, that's important. You're paying attention. And so, you know, I came from a background in this. This is stuff I studied early on. We're talking early 2000s. I've been into what's going on with things and all this stuff. So, hey, we got God is awesome. Yeah, I'm sure my sound's on by now. But hell yeah. So we got this Money Masters thing. We're going to keep going for a few minutes here and watch a little bit more of this documentary. I highly recommend you check it out. I posted the link in the live chat already. So we're going to watch a little bit more of this. Oh yeah, I know I am. I love you. Thanks for being here, everybody.
One of the most outspoken critics in Congress of the Fed was the former chairman of the House Banking and Currency Committee during the Great Depression years. Lewis T. McFadden, Republican of Pennsylvania, said in 1932, "We have in this country one of the most corrupt institutions the world has ever known. I refer to the Federal Reserve Board. This evil institution has impoverished the people of the United States and has practically bankrupted our government. It has done this through the corrupt practices of the moneyed vultures who control it." Senator Barry Goldwater was a frequent critic of the Fed. Most Americans have no real understanding of the operation of the international moneylenders. The accounts of the Federal Reserve System have never been audited. It operates outside the control of Congress and manipulates the credit of the United States.
The Federal Reserve really, even though it is not part of the federal government, it is more powerful than the federal government. It's more powerful than the president, the Congress, and the courts. Now, a lot of people challenge me on that, but let me prove my case. The Federal Reserve determines what the average person's car payment is going to be, what their house payment is going to be, and whether they have a job or not. And I submit to you that that's total control. And the Federal Reserve is the largest single creditor of the United States government. What does Proverbs tell us? The borrower is servant to the lender.
What one has to understand is that from the day the Constitution was adopted right up to today, the folks who profit from privately owned central banks, as Madison called them, the money changers, have fought a running battle for control over who gets to print America's money. Why is who prints the money so important? Think of money as just another commodity. If you have a monopoly on a commodity that everyone needs, everyone wants, and nobody has enough of, there are lots of ways to make a profit and also exert tremendous political influence. That's what this battle is all about. Throughout the history of the United States, the money power has gone back and forth between Congress and some sort of privately owned central bank. The Founding Fathers knew the evils of a privately owned central bank. First of all, they had seen how the privately owned British central bank, the Bank of England, had run up the British national debt to such an extent that Parliament had been forced to place unfair taxes on the American colonies. In fact, as we'll see later, Ben Franklin claimed that this was the real cause of the American Revolution. Most of the Founding Fathers realized the potential dangers of banking and feared bankers' accumulation of wealth and power. Jefferson put it this way:
I sincerely believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs.
That succinct statement of Jefferson is, in fact, the solution to all our economic problems today. It bears repeating. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. James Madison, the main author of the Constitution, agreed. Interestingly, he called those behind the central bank scheme money changers. Madison strongly criticized their actions.
History records that the money changers have used every form of abuse, intrigue, deceit, and violent means possible to maintain their control over governments by controlling money and its issuance.
The battle over who gets to issue our money has been the pivotal issue throughout the history of the United States. Wars are fought over it, depressions are caused to acquire it. Yet after World War I, this battle was rarely mentioned in newspapers or history books. Why? By World War I, the money changers, with their dominant wealth, had seized control of most of the nation's press. Throughout U.S. history, this battle over who gets the power to issue our money has raged. In fact, it's changed hands back and forth 8 times since 1764, yet this fact has virtually vanished from public view for over 3 generations behind a smokescreen emitted by Fed cheerleaders in the media. Until we stop talking about deficits and government spending and start talking about who controls how much money we have, it's all just a big shell game, a complete and utter deception. It won't matter if you pass an ironclad amendment to the Constitution mandating a balanced budget. Our situation is only going to get worse until we root out the cause at its source. What's the solution for our national problem? First of all, education. That's what this video presentation is all about. But secondly, we must act. We must take back the power to issue our own money. Issuing our own money is not a radical solution. I want to stress that. It's the same solution used at different points in U.S. history by men like Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, and Abraham Lincoln. So, to sum it up, in 1913, Congress gave an independent central bank, deceptively named the Federal Reserve, a monopoly over issuing America's money, and the debt generated by this quasi-private corporation is what is killing the American economy. Though the Federal Reserve is now the most powerful central bank in the world, it was not the first. So where did this idea come from? To really understand the magnitude of the problem, we have to travel back to Europe. Just who are these money changers James Madison spoke of? In the Bible,
we're gonna pause Homeboy there, and we're gonna come back to the show. But we're gonna go back to that documentary probably later. And if I don't, it's 3 hours. It's boring. It's in that same plain paper text of it. We'll go back to it tonight, but we have other things we need to cover before then. So we're going there first. All right. We're on a wild ride together, my friends. Let's go there together. Potentially, I may be speaking at a rally on Saturday. Somebody reached out to me. They have back problems. I reached out to somebody else. They both have a link to this live video. They might be seeing this. Who knows? I may or may not be speaking. If I am, I'll do my best to have it recorded and get it up here for you guys, or at least I'll try and live stream it or record it, one or the other. But here we're gonna watch. We're gonna watch this stuff here.
On January 5th, 2012, a group calling itself 3301 posted a mysterious message on the internet.
Hello. We are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a message hidden in this image.
The hidden message led to a series of other riddles, codes leading to phone messages, which provided GPS coordinates for posters around the world.
A mysterious group has been posting extremely complicated puzzles on the internet.
Solving the puzzles requires some esoteric knowledge, computer programming, hidden codes, history, art, and literature as obscure as medieval Welsh poetry.
The puzzle was called Cicada and appeared to be a recruiting tool for a secretive organization that called itself 3301.
I was obsessed. It was just all cicada all the time. I didn't sleep a whole lot. I was basically just holed up in my room. I really wanted to find the answer.
In January 2013, a new cicada puzzle appeared with more elaborate clues surrounding cicada with even more intrigue.
There was not a class that went by and not a shift of work that I didn't have my laptop open with. It was my life.
No one knew who created the puzzles.
So, let me come in here and just comment on this a little bit and what we're looking at for people that don't know what this is. So, I never came into the cicada thing. I was before my time, if you will, with certain aspects of things, the internet aspect of things. But as far as like surfing the chans and the boards and all that stuff, I came in shortly after cicada. You know, the Pizzagate stuff happened. I witnessed all that as it went down. The Q stuff all happened. I witnessed it live on the boards as it all went down, which is a very different way to look at things than someone who just reads news stories about a thing or whatever. Like, I know the boards, I know like the language, I know all this crap. So a lot of this, so what the cicada stuff is about cryptography, which is really, really interesting because it turns out, and I didn't know this, but there's people in my family on my mother's side that were into cryptography, and a lot of games we learned as children and as kids, like as far as magic tricks and different games and funny little things that we would play with each other and memory games and things like that. These are actually all cryptography games, you know, to teach you cryptography. And so what this whole cicada project is it actually taught cryptography if you followed it. If you follow cicada from beginning to end, it takes you from a basic level of cryptography to like complex cryptography. And so that's powerful and important. So let's look a little bit of this. We're going to watch a little bit more of this. This is, again, I'll post the link up in the live chat. I'll hit play again, and I'll hit post the link for you guys.
What their intentions were.
I wasn't sure if it was like a government recruitment or some underground hacking group. I'm torn then, I'm still torn.
And soon, cicada became one of the greatest mysteries of the internet.
This is hugely elaborate. It's a very, very involved game.
In 2014, the puzzle reached its height of complexity with a book of encrypted symbols called the Liber Primus. It's 58 pages long.
2 of them are solved to this day. The contents of the rest are a complete mystery.
The Liber Primus, it's encrypted, which obscures the original message, right? And the search space itself for like the possible messages that it could be is nearly infinity.
The Liber Primus was so hard, most people just gave up. But a small group of amateur puzzle solvers from around the world banded together and refused to quit.
There's no one person who's going to be better than a giant group of like-minded individuals working together.
We have never had a puzzle that we took that much time to solve and still could not do it.
That's it. That's it right there. That's the fucking point right there. Is that I am one man. All right, now, granted, I'm a very interesting man, and I know a lot of shit, and I can talk your ear off, and I can expound all this knowledge, and I can sound important, but I'm just one man alone. I got one set of hands. I got 2 feet. I got one mind. I got one heart. That's all I got. You know, and what he's saying is that group think, that group concept. And this is where the Pizzagate research took off. This is where the Q research took off. So this is before. This is like people that are literally crypto nerds. And when I say crypto, I'm not talking cryptocurrency. I'm talking cryptography. You know, the art of writing in cryptographic message. Which apparently I was subconsciously trained in since I was a child, and a lot of my research has led me there. And let me just continue to just segue for a second about myself and my background. Is that so I ended up getting involved with a guy who's a Swami who's tied into a deep Vedic tradition with legitimate roots and all this kind of stuff, as far as like you can research all my gurus and all that crap and you'll find real people and real shit. You know, and I had a fear of being misled. I had a fear of being misguided. I had a terrible fear that I was joining something where I was going to be just misled. You know, I had friends that grew up Jehovah's Witness. I had friends that grew up Mormon. I had friends, I've been friends with people of every tradition and faith, like pretty much that I've ever met, and anybody who I haven't met yet, I just have yet to be friends with you. You know, that's the way I look at it. And if I get given a microphone in front of a group of people, what would I say? What would I say? I would say that as humanity, we need to fucking catch ourselves together. Brothers, sisters, mothers, daughters, friends, neighbors. We need to come together beyond religion, beyond politics, beyond everything else, and be humans trying to be free for the next generation to live free the way that we did. And every freedom you're willing to give up is something that the next generation will have to fight to take back. Don't forget that. They will have to physically fight to take that right back if you give it up now. Anything we give up, they will have to die. Our young children that haven't been born yet will have to die to get that right back for us. People died so that we have these rights. And if we have the courage to keep them, we can keep them. And that's where we are in time and space right now. That's absolutely where we are in time and space right now. You know, and if anybody does not recognize that, I have to tell you the biggest gift that I've ever been given is just to be yourself, be truthful, full and through, and be kind, and be willing to listen. And if you can do those things, you can change the minds of people that will aggress against you. And I'll say I was born in 1984. You know, Columbine happened while I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school during Columbine. You know, and then 9/11 happened. I was skipping school that day. You know, I've seen it my whole life, and I'm blessed that I have been able to see it my whole life. I wear these glasses. These glasses are very thick. I have very poor vision with extremely strong correction. I'm also dyslexic. I'm also colorblind. My eyes suck. My ears work and my voice works. I'm using those powers, and I have eyes. I can see. I'm not blind. I have glasses. Now they have glasses that help me see color. And I do have a pair of those. My friends and family bought me a pair for my birthday, and they're awesome. Don't give up hope. There's no end to this game. We have to win it inch by inch, and this fight is going to be day by day, and it's not going to stop. And we don't, we're not passing on a world to our next generation. We're passing on a fight to that next generation, and we need to make sure that they're prepared to fight for it. And some of us are lucky enough, like myself, that we grew up in the generation where we actually fell from trees and murked ourselves on bikes and just we lived a tough life. I mean, I've been banged and bruised and beat up. I'm not afraid of it. I have zero fear of it. They can't torture me. My stillness runs deeper than anything. It'll never go away. I found a stillness in the way that I have learned to pray that will never go away for me. And that stillness I found not through Christianity. And I want to make that a very important point, because they want to tie the movement of freedom of speech and the Second Amendment and all that shit. They want to tie that to Christianity. It has nothing to do with Christianity. All you Christians are going to stand up and fight for my right to do my Vedic fire ceremony and worship the goddess and worship Shiva and do my thing. And I'm going to stand up right next to you while you tell me that the only way I can be saved is finding Christ. And I'll let you bitch at me all day about that, because I don't care, because I already found my salvation the way I needed to find it, which was a different way. And I think that you have to give respect to the many millions and billions of people on this, because we're not talking about an American movement. We're talking about a worldwide movement. This is worldwide. People watch this all over the world. My viewers are all over the world, and I'm a nobody. I'm a little guy, and I already got international viewership, because this message is the human message. We will not be defeated. We will stand up. We will speak truth. I am not afraid, and neither should you be. Who am I? I'm a fucking nobody. I'm an asshole. Why am I doing this? Because every channel I used to watch is gone off of YouTube, and I'm filling the place for them. They're gone, and so I stepped up. And when they take me out, I hope you step up, because it's gonna happen, and it's not too long out. All right, let's watch some more. What are we gonna watch tonight? I got more stuff to show you guys. Let's see what we're gonna do. Man, I got stuff. It's all a theme, but I don't like the theme of it. So we got the cicada stuff. We got the Money Masters. We already played those guys. All right, let's go here. So if you follow the John McAfee stuff, there's this whole loose end with that. And there's this channel we've been playing quite a bit on here, Rusty Shackelford. He posted this yesterday.
Today I'm going to be an escapee from the LA County Jail and go into a hardware store and see if they'll lend me a hacksaw. Ow.
Apparently they never aired this, but they definitely should have, because it's dope.
Cool. I need some help, man.
What kind of help you need?
I need saw, hacksaw.
You need a hacksaw?
Yeah.
Oh. We're kind of closed for right now. We're not letting anybody in.
Someone help me.
He's probably an escapee from the jail or somewhere. Handcuffed in a sheriff's jumpsuit. Watch it. So we're kind of closed for right now.
We got a situation. Everybody.
Get on.
Holy because I don't belong there.
What is this one about?
That's a microphone.
For what?
Because you're filming.
You're filming?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you filming? You're foolish.
I'm telling you the truth.
Camera man? You got camera on?
Is it off? It's on? Are you filming this? Are you filming this right now? Why? Turn it off.
Sorry, I'm mic muted because I have another thing I had to call up, and I was doing a emergency intervention to call up the next video. So here, I found it. So we're gonna go from what we just watched to this. You make of all of this what the hell you will. I mean, I don't know what it all is at the end of the day. So here we go. Ed Buck, he was on trial yesterday, today, day before. It's barely been covered in the news. So let's listen a little bit about what happened to Ed Buck and his trial. This is not for children, for the record. This is going to be gross, so trigger warning and all that shit.
Ed Buck trial. He's a white Democratic donor accused of administering a fatal dose of drugs to two black men in 2017-2019. The trial will resume tomorrow. Joining us now to tell us what's been happening in the courtroom is Jasmine Koenig. She, of course, has been involved with the story from the beginning. Jasmine, glad to have you on Roland Martin Unfiltered. It's been a long time getting to this particular point. When Jamel Moore was found dead, there were a lot of people, a lot of Democrats, white folks, a lot of gay white folks, real quiet. Nobody wanted to say anything, do anything. But it took a second black man dying in Ed Buck's apartment for folks to realize, oh, there might be a problem now. He's on trial.
Absolutely, and it's so good to see you, Roland. I just want to always just say thank you to you because you believed from day one and kept this story on all of your platforms. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
But you're exactly right. Not much has changed. We are not hearing much here in LA from the mainstream media or LGBT advocate groups or Democratic Party or anyone. And it's very telling. Friday was definitely the hardest day for all of us. We sat through, Ed Buck had over 2,400 videos of him torturing, injecting, black men with methamphetamine, unconscious black men that he was sexually assaulting. It was so incredibly brutal on Friday, having to watch video after video of this black men with nooses around their necks. some Black men who didn't even know they were being recorded, others who asked for him not to record them or for him not to put their face in the video. So there's no denying now exactly who Ed Buck is, even for me, right? So I went back because I wasn't even really sure when I started covering this. It was August 10th, 2017. Jamel Moore died July 27th, 2017. And I knew he was a bad person then, but now we all know exactly how bad he is, and it was way worse than we could have ever imagined. Looking at the videos, reading the text messages that he sent to people. I mean, this man is Jeffrey Dahmer 2.0. And it's really sad that people don't know about this case. They're unaware of it. I even had a council member here in LA refer to his victims as just disadvantaged Black hustlers. The only one who was doing the hustling was Ed Buck. He loved to make these men unconscious and to take advantage of them, slip them GHB and take advantage of them.
I mean, this shit is like fucking insane. You guys probably had to not go through all that, but yeah, I mean, are you listening to this woman? This is literally insane. Like, holy shit. Holy fucking shit. And you have to remember, this guy's tied to everybody. He's buddy-buddy with Adam Schiff, buddy-buddy with Soros, buddy-buddy with the Podestas, buddy-buddy with the Clintons. Come on. Like, what is this? What are we looking at here, right? Why is this not on the news?
And so, yeah, we didn't have court today. We resume court tomorrow. Over this next week, we're going to hear a lot of testimony from his victims. And so I'm sure it's going to be even more horrific.
He also hired 2 Black attorneys to defend him. Clearly, that was by design.
He did. And I got to say, Christopher Darden and Ludlow Creary will not be getting any invites to the barbecue ever again in life. We say in Domino's, right, Roland, all money isn't good money. It's very interesting watching Ed Buck's pasty white butt sitting between these 2 hefty Black gentlemen in court who are doing his bidding, and their whole entire defense is around AIDS, right? So their defense is that Jamel Moore died of AIDS, full-blown AIDS, as they like to say, and not the methamphetamine that was injected into him. And that Timothy Dean was living on borrowed time and had a heart condition. And that's what killed him, not the methamphetamine that was injected into him. I'm so ashamed of Christopher Darden, but I'm not surprised because remember, he did take Eric Holder as a client, the man who killed Nipsey Hussle. And he only dropped that case because he couldn't handle the death threats that he was receiving. He's been on the wrong side of a lot of battles lately. He continues to lose in court. I hope that streak continues. His mini-me Ludlow Creary is no better. They are definitely earning their $1 million+ fee that they are getting from Ed Buck. But it is really embarrassing to see these 2 Black men use the HIV status of Ed Buck's Black victims against them. It is horrific.
In terms of, I talked about how folks were so silent on this, and Ed Buck was a major
Democratic donor, and the state Democratic Party was extremely reluctant
to say anything because they wanted to keep getting his checks. And even after Jamel Moore was killed, he was still giving money, and they were still accepting money.
Sure was. And I got to tell you, as an elected member of the Democratic Party, publicly elected here in California, they still haven't said much, haven't said anything at all, nothing about justice for the victims. Everyone sort of has their head buried in the sand. What was very interesting to me during the testimony on Friday was that the prosecutor showed a text exchange that Ed Buck had with one of his victims, where he was trying to set up one of his party and play sessions. And in the text message, Buck says, "Oh, I'm getting ready for tomorrow. I got an endorsement panel." And it just made me think again, Here is this man who's showing up at all these Democratic fundraisers, all of these events with Democrats, and he's either coming or going from shooting men up with meth, drugging men, and doing all of these things. We have people in LA who refuse to acknowledge that they took his money, but returned Harvey Weinstein's money to the Time's Up Foundation without even being asked. And so again, I think it just speaks volumes about the lives of Black people, the lives of Black men. And it's really, really sad because Ed Buck was a serial predator. He was a serial predator. There was a point in the trial where the prosecution showed that Jamel Moore died on July 27th, and within 2 weeks, back to back to back, every single day, Ed Buck had a different young man coming and going from his house. I remember one particular thing, Roland, that I will never forget. It was either Christopher Darden or Ludlow Cleary, but the defense for Ed Buck was cross-examining Ed Buck's next-door neighbor, who said that all of the mostly African-American men he saw leaving seemed to always be in a stupor or under the influence of something. And the defense said, well, could it not be that they're under the influence of anything, but that they just have AIDS? They literally said that in court.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What the fuck? That's some
yeah,
fucked up
that's
shit, man.
that's pretty crazy there. Jazz Mechanic, we surely appreciate you giving us this breakdown.
Yeah,
and
I
then
got the
we'll
link
be,
copied here. I'll pop it
following
up in the
what
chat
happened
if
in
I
this
haven't
trial.
yet. I thought it did.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, Roland. Thank
There's the
you.
link
Thanks a
to this
lot.
video
Appreciate
right
it, Jasmine. All right, folks, get an update on Haiti, where the elections ministers.
Man, so that's where we went right there. We got more places to go, so let me just at this point I'm going to ride it with you guys for a little while and just kind of see where we go on this magic carpet ride of the internet, because it's going to be some stuff. Hold on. Well, y'all can see it, but let me see. Oh, hold on. Let me, I want to do this video. Let me find it. Yeah, this is the good one.
As you are aware, it is a
6
crime
minutes
to lie
of
to Congress.
Fauci. This is the,
Dr. Fauci.
so this is the whole deal between Fauci and Rand Paul. So we're gonna play the whole 6 minutes here. I won't interrupt. We're gonna watch this straight through.
As you are aware, it is a crime to lie to Congress. Section 1001 of the U.S. Criminal Code creates a felony and a 5-year penalty for lying to Congress. On your last trip to our committee on May 11th, you stated that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And yet, gain-of-function research was done entirely in the Wuhan Institute by Dr. Shi and was funded by the NIH. I'd like to ask unanimous consent to insert into the record the Wuhan virology paper entitled Discovery of a Rich Gene Pool of Bat SARS-Related Coronaviruses. Please deliver a copy of the journal article to Dr. Fauci. In this paper, Dr. Shi credits the NIH and lists the actual number of the grant that she was given by the NIH. In this paper, she took 2 bat coronavirus genes, spike genes, and combined them with a SARS-related backbone to create new viruses that are not found in nature. These lab-created viruses were then shown to replicate in humans. These experiments combine genetic information from different coronaviruses that infect animals but not humans to create novel artificial viruses able to infect human cells. Viruses that in nature only infect animals were manipulated in the Wuhan lab to gain the function of infecting humans. This research fits the definition of the research that the NIH said was subject to the pause in 2014 to 2017, a pause in funding on gain of function. But the NIH failed to recognize this, defines it away, and it never came under any scrutiny. Dr. Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist from Rutgers, described this research in Wuhan as The Wuhan lab used NIH funding to construct novel chimeric SARS-related coronaviruses able to infect human cells and laboratory animals. This is high-risk research that creates new potential pandemic pathogens that exist only in the lab, not in nature. This research matches, these are Dr. Ebright's words, this research matches, indeed epitomizes, the definition of gain-of-function research done entirely in Wuhan, for which there was supposed to be a federal pause. Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
If I could do that like sunglass drop thing, like, you know, just look at this guy's face right here. Hold on, let's look into my meme stash. I think I got a couple of memes for us. So here's one. That should have been my my call sign. Here, we got this one next right here. I'll read it to you guys who are just listening. So it's Ben Franklin. It says, without freedom of thought, there can be no such thing as wisdom and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech. Ben Franklin. Hold on, we got another one. Voltaire. I like this guy. Every man is guilty of all the good he didn't do. Voltaire. Think about that shit. Now let's go back and watch little Fauci the Weasel spit some fucking demon spit and lie and shake like a fucking rat he is. He looks like a fucking rat.
Your microphone.
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function. What was, let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans,
right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know.
If anybody checked out my last show, we extensively kind of went into George Orwell's political speech where you just sound like you're saying important things and you're saying nothing. You know, watch this fucking asshat like perform fucking gymnastics with his words and say shit, literally say shit. And Paul catches him on it. We're going to scroll back for a second just so y'all can catch this. I'm sorry, I'll shut up now.
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about. Okay, you get one person.
Let's read from the NIH definition of gain of function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among mammals is gain of function. They took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
And let's Dr. Fauci.
I have to, well, now you're getting into something. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2, that's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did come from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab. And there were.
Hold on, I gotta just chat in here from the body language aspect of bullshit again, because I like to speak about this shit. Like, look at all this chittery bullshit that happens here. Basically, what he's saying, symbolizing to his Illuminati friends, is I'm in trouble. I'm panicking. This is the attack I'm not prepared to deal with, and this is why I need you guys to help me with. Watch this guy's hand signals.
Let me finish.
Hold on,
We don't
let me
know.
get scroll
Well,
back
wait,
over.
created SARS-CoV-2.
Whoa.
That's where you are getting. Let
He's
me
shaking.
finish.
He's
We don't
physically
know.
shaking.
Well, wait a
It
minute.
did
I
come
can
from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
I totally
This committee
resent.
will allow the witness to
I
respond.
totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator, because if you look at the viruses that were used in the experiments, that were given in the annual reports, that were published in the literature, it is molecularly impossible.
No one's saying those viruses caused it.
It
No
is
one is alleging that those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is
He said viruses used in the experiments. Well, hold on. Scroll back again.
Possible.
no one's saying those
It
viruses
is-
caused it.
it
No
is
one is alleging that
molecularly-
those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain of function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That
You
is
can't
not-
get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
I'm not obfuscating the truth.
Senator
You're the
Paul's
one.
time is expired, but I will allow the witness to.
Let me just finish. I want everyone to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists, those viruses are molecularly impossible
No one's
to
saying
result
they are. No
in
one's saying those viruses
SARS-CoV-2.
caused the pandemic.
Senator Paul,
We're saying they are gain of function viruses because they were
they're not.
animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And
won't
you
admit the truth.
and you
Senator
implying
Paul, your time has expired.
I have to interject here again that it's well known that a virologist in North Carolina, my home state where I'm living, over there in the research triangle aspect of things, where potentially I may speak on Saturn Day. We'll see. But over there is basically where all this fucking bullshit started. And he said, the guy who did the initial research said he can code it in such a way you would never know. You would never know he modified it. It would look wild. You know, they have said that in this research facility in North Carolina. So he's lying on his asshole right now.
And I will allow witnesses who come before this committee to respond.
And you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individual. I totally resent
could
that.
have
And
been.
if anybody
And it
is
could have been.
lying here, Senator, it is you.
Dude, he just did the water sip. Did you see that? He just did the water sip. We got to scroll that back because that's insane. That really just happened. Water sip. Watch that water.
Is lying here, Senator, it is you.
Senator Smith.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's fucking great, man. Yeah, so there's that. That's all I got on that one. Who's still with me up in here? I haven't looked at my chat. Sorry, guys. I got to check out the chat. We got people up in here. I'm not seeing my shit. It's not loading properly. I apologize for not keeping up with the chat because it's not showing me the chat right now. So I'm just going to keep going forward. What else do we have for y'all tonight? That was fun though, right? Did that, already did that, already did that. All right, let's do this one. This is from our homeboy, CanCon. Apparently he's still up on a backup channel, so check that out. I'll post the link in the comments.
That's right.
What's up, guys? Today is July 19th, 2021, and Gateway Pundit did an article this morning. And I was tipped off actually last night from one of my Twitter followers that Gateway was going to be doing this and that they were actually the ones that acquired the FOIA request for this report. And after the Gateway article came out, I read it. I did a video on it. I ended up deleting that video because in editing, my computer froze and I said, screw this. Because I actually reached out to them and asked them some questions, and they said, well, Gateway did an excellent job reporting the article, which they actually wrote, but they left out some key things. So in those key things, I spoke with the gentleman who wrote it, Kevin, and I asked him, I said, is there anything that you want to get out there? And he started listing some things. So I said, you know what, let's record this phone call, and I'll add this into a video. So here's the phone call recorded from the video. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by Kevin Moncla, who is an independent journalist who has, written a few pieces here for the Gateway Pundit, among other outlets. But he was the one that actually wrote and did the FOIA request for the ProVNV audit in Georgia. Kevin, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing awesome. Now, you had reached out. I think I was actually talking on Twitter with your wife, and she had said, yeah, my husband wrote the report. So, I asked if you could give me a call. Of course, you gave me a call, and you explained to me that you felt like there were some things that Gateway didn't quite, pick up on their article. And I wanted to give you a chance to get that out there for my listeners so that they understand the whole picture of what we're dealing with here.
Right. I'm not sure if it was because of liability or because they needed to confirm some things first, which I understand. But Gateway Pundit's always been great. But the premise is that the documents that were sent to me in reply to the open records request were created for that purpose, and the time frame shows that. And the only reason to create the documents is because they don't exist. And if they didn't exist, that's a problem.
So now there's two documents here. There's the response from Michael Barnes, which is dated November 12th, 2020, and it seems like the response is dated, 7 months, 8 months before the actual request, according to the FOIA request that you did. Am I right in interpreting it that way?
That's correct.
Wow. So let me real quick, let me pull up. This is the article that you wrote. You sent a copy from you to me. And this is the Michael Barnes email. And you can see up here at the top, it's dated November 12th, 2020. However, this is the response that's allegedly written to, which is dated 7/16/2021, which, as we know, is this past Friday. Now, you went into the metadata on that document, correct? And you found what?
I found that it matched the actual date of 7/16, which was, literally within the hour that I received the email from the Georgia Open Circuit request. So it shows the coordination between Secretary of State's office in Georgia and ProVNV, which is also not good.
This is absolutely incredible. So, as we're to understand it, if you do a FOIA request, you should get the original documents. Am I right?
That's right.
So any documents, any correspondence between Michael Barnes, ProVNV, the Georgia Secretary of State, especially given they have the response from Michael Barnes dated November 12th, the initial document that they sent you should have been dated November 12th or earlier.
That's correct, because the November 12th document from Michael Barnes was in response to a memo from ProVNV outlining the scope of the audit, or was supposed to be the scope of the audit.
And
so the memo from the Secretary of State's office was approving the work outlined in that memo. That memo was then created on Friday.
And there are some things that you mentioned in this article as you sent it to me that were not necessarily, I don't believe they were mentioned in there. I want to just real quick, I want to read them back to you. There's no specific dates that are listed when ProVNV supposedly visited each of the 4 to 6 counties. That seems relevant, right? That seems like something that we should know.
Right. And there's a discrepancy because the outline
the outline of the work proposed by Pro V&V was for 4 counties.
Correct.
And then the Secretary of State office approved the 4 counties, and then the audit report claimed 6 counties.
Right. There we go.
We don't know what 6.
There you go. And like I said, in my original video, which I'm just going to add this into that video, in the original, episode that I did on this, I do mention that, I named the 6 counties they were supposed to go to. I'm sorry, the 4 counties they were supposed to go to, but they claim they went to 6.
Right.
Now, reading on here, it says the audit report fails to mention analysis of the systems for malware, hacking, or signs of nefarious manipulation. No analysis to determine if the systems ever logged access to the internet or if the systems were connected to the internet at the time of review. And no election management workstations or servers, hardwares, firmware, or software. Now, the reason that that's important that they don't mention that is because they did mention that in the Maricopa report that they did, correct?
They did mention it. It's important to know that Pro V&V is not a certified computer forensic specialist or auditor of any kind. In fact, they're just voting systems testers. And the only 2 companies, Pro V&V is one, that is certified by the EAC, which really doesn't mean anything because they're not an independent organization. In fact, they're paid by the voting companies. Not many people realize that. They're paid by the voting companies to test the voting companies' systems.
Wow. That's new to me. I did not know that. And I've always said that there's a conflict of interest. They say there's a conflict of interest, or I'm sorry, they say Pro V&V is nonpartisan in their audit. And I've always said there's a conflict of interest because they can't audit something that they approved on. That's that's an absolute conflict of interest. But now I don't think that they should be allowed to test machines if they're paid by the company that they're testing. This should be
in any other realm of life, business, personal, corporate, or otherwise. That would be a screaming red flag that wouldn't be allowed, but it's inherent in the system.
Wow, that's incredible. And absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I never even realized that. We didn't even discuss that beforehand. That's new to me. Kevin, before I wrap this up, is there anything else that I'm missing from this report that you want to get out there?
I think it's important to know that everybody just took the Secretary of State's word that an audit was complete. Nobody even searched for the report. Nobody reviewed it. And I think that's a failure by our representatives, law enforcement, and on down the line. I'm just, a regular guy who got aggravated, couldn't find it, and decided to do a records request. But why was it me? That's
right.
The problem.
Exactly. And now we know that Pro V&V, the Georgia Secretary of State, and whoever Michael Barnes is, apparently panicked, and together they collaborated in making this document last Friday and trying to pass it off as something from last November. And that in itself needs to definitely be investigated by somebody with some sort of law enforcement authority, because this seems like it's got to be a criminal violation of some sort. Wow.
Yeah, especially whenever the audit report for a whole state that everybody is hinging the future of our nation on is literally one page, generic, and doesn't even mention any specific machine or county for that matter.
Absolutely. All right, Kevin. Well, thank you so much for your diligence on this. And I can't say how much I appreciate it, sir. You're an absolute patriot.
Well, thank you, Ryan. You are too. Appreciate what you do.
All right, Kevin. Take care, sir.
You too. Take care.
Now, in this phone call, there's a lot of things that weren't necessarily covered as in depth in the Gateway article. I do recommend you read the Gateway article for yourself. I'm not going to, recover it all here again, but this is some pretty incredible stuff that needs to be explained by the Georgia Secretary of State's office, as well as Jack Cobb from Pro V&V. This seems like criminal activity. All right, guys, that's all I got for this morning. So stay frosty. God bless each and every one of you. God bless America. Make the fortune cookie country pay for this.
So I guess that's where we are in our rabbit hole of information so far tonight. but there's more to go. So Code Monkey Z is somebody who I follow. I'm sorry, I'm scratching the shit out of myself. I'm getting like eaten alive by mosquitoes right now, sitting on my back porch. So I'm giving my blood to the wild kingdom around me. I'm sure you can hear the birds and all the nature and stuff. But yeah, I'm getting like literally like destroyed right now by blood sucking critters, little assholes. So all right, so where we're going next is going to be. Let's just go ahead and do it. Let's see where we're gonna go. It's the bottom line is that I already got that one done. Actually, here we're gonna go back to here for a second. We're gonna go back to Money Masters, and I'm gonna come back and talk to you guys for a few because
The central bank in the world. It was not the first. So where did this idea come from? To really understand the magnitude of the problem, we have to travel back to Europe.
Just who are these money changers James Madison spoke of? In the Bible, 2,000 years ago, Jesus drove the money changers from the temple.
It was the only time Jesus used force during his ministry. What were money changers doing in the temple? When Jews came to Jerusalem to pay their temple tax, they could only pay it with a special coin, the half shekel of the sanctuary. This was a half ounce of pure silver about this size. It was the only coin around at that time which was pure silver and of assured weight without the image of a pagan emperor. Therefore, to Jews, the half shekel was the only coin acceptable to God. But these coins were not plentiful. The money changers had cornered the market on them. Then they raised the price, just like any other commodity, to whatever the market would bear. In other words, money changers were making exorbitant profits because they held a virtual monopoly on money. The Jews had to pay whatever they demanded. To Jesus, this totally violated the sanctity of God's house. But the money-changing scam did not originate in Jesus' day. 200 years before Christ, Rome was having trouble with money changers. 2 early Roman emperors had tried to diminish the power of the money changers by reforming usury laws and limiting land ownership to 500 acres. They were both assassinated. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar took back the power to coin money from the money changers and minted coins for the benefit of all. With this new, plentiful supply of money, he built great public works projects. By making money plentiful, Caesar won the love of the common man. But the money changers hated him. Some believe this was an important factor in Caesar's assassination. One thing is for sure, with the death of Caesar came the demise of plentiful money in Rome. Taxes increased, as did corruption. Just as in the case of America today, usury and debased coin became the rule. Eventually, the Roman money supply was reduced by 90%. As a result, the common people lost their lands and their homes, just as is about to happen soon in America. With the demise of plentiful money, the masses lost confidence in the Roman government and refused to support it. Rome plunged into the gloom of the Dark Ages. A 1,000 years after the death of Christ, money changers, those who loan out and manipulate the quantity of money, were active in medieval England. In fact, they were so active that acting together, they could manipulate the entire English economy. These were not bankers per se. The money changers generally were the goldsmiths. They were the first bankers because they started keeping other people's gold for safekeeping in their vaults. The first paper money was merely a receipt for gold left at the goldsmith. Paper money caught on because it was more convenient than carrying around a lot of heavy gold and silver coins. Eventually, goldsmiths noticed that only a small fraction of the depositors ever came in and demanded their gold at any one time. Goldsmiths started cheating on the system. They discovered that they could print more money than they had gold, and usually no one would be the wiser.
Then they could loan out this extra money and collect interest on it. This was the birth of fractional reserve banking. That is, loaning out many times more money than you have assets on deposit. So, if $1,000 in gold were deposited with them, they could loan out about $10,000 in paper money and draw interest payments on it, and no one would ever discover the deception.
By this means, goldsmiths gradually accumulated more and more wealth and used this wealth to accumulate more and more gold. Today, this practice of loaning out more money than there are reserves is known as fractional reserve banking. Every bank in the United States is allowed to loan out at least 10 times more money than they actually have. That's why they get rich on charging, let's say, 8% interest. It's not really 8% per year, which is their income. It's 80%. That's why bank buildings are always the largest in town. But does that mean that all interest or all banking should be illegal? Hardly. In the Middle Ages, canon law, the law of the Catholic Church, forbade charging interest on loans. This concept followed the teachings of Aristotle and St. Thomas Aquinas. They taught that the purpose of money was to serve the members of society, to facilitate the exchange of goods needed to lead a virtuous life. Interest, in their belief, hindered this purpose by putting an unnecessary burden on the use of money. In other words, interest was contrary to reason and justice. Reflecting church law in the Middle Ages, Europe forbade charging interest on loans and made it a crime called usury. As commerce grew and therefore opportunities for investment arose in the late Middle Ages, it came to be recognized that to loan money had a cost for the lender, both in risk and in lost opportunity. So some charges were allowed, but not interest per se. But all moralists, no matter what religion, condemn fraud, oppression of the poor, and injustice as clearly immoral. As we will see, fractional reserve lending is rooted in a fraud, results in widespread poverty, and reduces the value of everyone else's money.
The ancient goldsmiths discovered that extra profits could be made by rowing the economy between easy money and tight money. When they made money easier to borrow, then the amount of money in circulation expanded. Money was plentiful. People took out more loans to expand their businesses. But then the money changers would tighten the money supply. They would make loans more difficult to get.
What would happen? Just what happens today. A certain percentage of people could not repay their previous loans and could not take out new loans to repay the old ones. Therefore, they went bankrupt and had to sell their assets to the goldsmiths for pennies on the dollar. The same thing is still going on today. Only today, we call this rowing of the economy up and down the business cycle. Like Julius Caesar, King Henry I of England finally resolved to take the money power away from the goldsmiths about 1100 AD.
Well, I don't know how much history you know, but basically these guys didn't fare well. So I'm going to keep going because I think this is an important thing to share with everybody. So we're going to keep going where we're going. But yeah, the people who rose up against this system didn't fare well. I'll just put it that way, to put it lightly.
Henry could have used anything as money, seashells, feathers, or even yak dung, as is often done in remote Tibetan provinces. But he invented one of the most unusual money systems in history. It was called the tally stick system. Here I have one of the few surviving examples of this form of British money, which lasted 726 years until 1826, a tally stick. The tally system was adopted to avoid the monetary manipulation of the goldsmiths. Tally sticks were money fabricated out of sticks of polished wood. Notches were cut along one edge of the stick to indicate the denominations. Then the stick was split lengthwise through the notches so that both pieces still had a record of the notches. The king kept one half to protect against counterfeiting. Then he would spend the other half into the economy and they would circulate as money. This particular tally stick is huge. It represented 25,000 pounds. One of the
Like I said, I was raised kind of delinquent, if you will, and raised with games I didn't realize came from cryptography schools, but did come from cryptography schools. And this was passed on to me from somebody else, but I just want to pass this on to all of you. This is a great way is to write a note in the same way, and you rip the piece of paper, and you know the fabric, the individual ripping of a piece of paper is like side by side comparison, just like they would rip a piece of wood, you know, like they're saying as an identifier, you know, person to person. Like I write one copy, you write the other copy, we rip it in half. Like if I ever need you to verify or you send me back the other copy, I can always match it up to the forensic ripped piece of paper, the actual piece of paper that is physically ripped. And the same thing with this piece of wood, which makes it valuable. So I'm just trying to say so y'all understand what's going on here. All right, I'm cutting out. Let's keep.
The original stockholders in the Bank of England purchased his original shares with this stick. In other words, he bought shares in the world's richest and most powerful corporation with a stick of wood. It's ironic that after its formation in 1694, the Bank of England attacked the tally stick system because it was money outside the power of the money changers, just as King Henry had wanted it to be. Why do people accept sticks of wood for money? That's a great question. Throughout history, people traded anything they thought had value and used as money. You see, the secret is that money is only what people agree on to use as money. What's our paper money today? It's really just paper. But here's the trick. King Henry ordered that tally sticks had to be used to pay the king's taxes. This built-in demand for tally sticks immediately made them circulate and be accepted as money. And they worked well. In fact, no other form of money has worked so well for so long as tally sticks. Keep in mind, the British Empire was built under the tally stick system. The tally stick system succeeded despite the fact that the money changers constantly attacked it by offering the metal coin system as competition. In other words, metal coins never went completely out of circulation, but tally sticks hung on because they were good for the payment of taxes. Finally, in the 1500s, King Henry VIII relaxed the laws concerning usury, and the money changers wasted no time reasserting themselves. They quickly made their gold and silver money plentiful for a few decades. But when Queen Mary took the throne and tightened the usury laws again, the money changers renewed the hoarding of gold and silver coins, forcing the economy to plummet. When Queen Mary's sister, Queen Elizabeth I, took the throne, she was determined to regain control over English money. Her solution was to issue gold and silver coins from the public treasury and take the control over the money supply away from the money changers. Although control over money was not the only cause of the English Revolution in 1642, religious differences fueled the conflict. Monetary policy played a major role. Financed by the money changers, Oliver Cromwell finally overthrew King Charles, purged the Parliament, and put the king to death. The money changers were immediately allowed to consolidate their financial power. The result was that for the next 50 years, the money changers plunged Great Britain into a series of costly wars. They took over a square mile of property in the center of London, known as the City of London. This area today is still known as one of the 3 predominant financial centers of the world. Conflicts with the Stuart kings led the money changers in England to combine with those in the Netherlands to finance the invasion of William of Orange, who overthrew the Stuarts in 1688 and took the English throne.
By the end of the 1600s, England was in financial ruin. 50 years of more or less continuous wars with France and Holland had exhausted her.
Frantic government officials met with the money changers to beg for the loans necessary to pursue their political purposes. The price was high. A government-sanctioned,
privately owned bank
which could issue money created out of nothing. It was to be the modern world's first privately owned central bank, the Bank of England. Although it was deceptively called the Bank of England to make the general population think it was part of the government, it was not. Like any other private corporation, the Bank of England sold shares to get started. The investors, whose names were never revealed, were supposed to put up £1.25 million British pounds in gold coin to buy their shares in the bank, but only £750,000 was ever received. Despite that, the bank was duly chartered in 1694 and started out in the business of loaning out several times the money it supposedly had in reserves, all at interest.
In exchange, the new bank would loan British politicians as much of the new currency as they wanted, as long as they secured the debt by direct taxation of the British people.
So, legalization of the Bank of England amounted to nothing less than legal counterfeiting of a national currency for private gain. Unfortunately, nearly every nation now has a privately controlled central bank using the Bank of England as the basic model. Such is the power of these central banks that they soon take total control over a nation's economy. It soon amounts to nothing but a plutocracy, rule by the rich. It would be like putting control of the army in the hands of the mafia. The danger of tyranny would be extreme. Yes, we need central banks. No, we do not need them in private hands. The central bank scam is really a hidden tax. The nation sells bonds to the central bank
unmute myself. I just want to remind the viewers that this documentary is from 1996 that we are watching here currently. This is 1996. So what are we, 2021? It's a bit ago that these guys were aware of this stuff. And we're not going to watch the whole thing. I'll post a link again just because I think it's an important documentary to check out.
To pay for things it does not have the political will to raise taxes to pay for. But the bonds are purchased with money the central bank creates out of nothing. More money in circulation makes your money worth less. The government gets as much money as it needs, and the people pay for it in inflation. The beauty of the plan is that not one person in 1,000 can figure it out because it's usually hidden behind complex-sounding economics gibberish. With the formation of the Bank of England, the nation was soon awash in money. Prices throughout the country doubled. Massive loans were granted for just about any wild scheme. One venture proposed to drain the Red Sea to recover gold supposedly lost when the Egyptian army drowned pursuing Moses and the Israelites. By 1698, government debt grew from the initial £1.25 million to £16 million. Naturally, taxes were increased and then increased again to pay for all of this. With the British money supply firmly in their grip, the British economy began a wild roller coaster series of booms and depressions, exactly the sort of thing a central bank claims it is determined to prevent.
There are two things which I think are intrinsic not just to the Bank of England, but to central banking generally. The first is an involvement in the formulation of monetary policy with the specific objective of achieving monetary stability.
However, since the Bank of England took control, the British pound has rarely been stable. Now let's take a look at the role of the Rothschild family, the family said to be the wealthiest in the world.
I will clip it here for now on that particular video, and only because of this, because of the name of the family mentioned. But I will say that this documentary does the fairest overlook of it from an economic perspective and really shows you kind of what happens. I mean, like I said, that's probably one of the best of the best, so there's these accounts supposedly related to John McAfee, where he posted a loose change video recently and all this other stuff. When it comes to any of these radical things, just at the start of the show with the Cicada Project, I don't know how much any of you ever looked into Pizzagate, but that whole thing and the Q stuff and yada, 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 on and on. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Was there aortas of truth within it? Are they important? Like what I'm showing you is an aorta of truth that is important. And when I first found this movement, when I first found this type of truth movement, and leading to what originally led me to this particular video specifically, it always said, and I always hold dear to my heart, that if it involves demons or UFOs or this or that, ignore it. Bad people do bad things, and there's a money trail. That's real. It really exists. It's there. Don't be dissuaded. Don't be turned off from that. Follow the money. Bad people did bad shit, and there's a money trail. That's how life works. So I hope you all look at the rest of this video, because it's quite a ride. It really is. It's incredible. But I don't have the time to show the whole thing, so obviously we go on to the next thing, whatever it's going to be. Let's go on to the next one. There's something else worth showing you guys, I guarantee it. We always have to end somewhere higher than we started as well. Man, it's all pretty negative. All right, well, we're going to have to find our own inspiration here. Let me go ahead and I'm done. I'm done with all this bullshit for the night. I got to end the show relatively soon as well, because my lady is about to be home, and she had to go in for an extra round, like I said, at the doctor today, which she didn't want to do, and her mom's with her and her dad's with her, but she's about to be dropped off here pretty soon. So we're going to end this in about 10-15 minutes. I'm going to try and call up something inspirational for you guys that I feel is where we need to go with it. I guess, right? That's what we got to do. All right, so let's do... We're going to do a little bit of Charles Bukowski. he's going to take us home tonight. Or maybe he won't. We'll see. Give me a second.
Charles Bukowski.
That's not what I want to do.
Next on Artbound.
Yeah, we're going to do Bukowski reads Bukowski because that's so much cooler. He's drunk and he's reading, and we're going to go into that together. And this is why I stand up for the freedom of speech. As I've perceived recently, I'm not so sure if this rally is legit or if we've got bots talking to me. So we'll find out. But if I got real people talking to me, then they'll reach out to me and we'll talk. All right. Check out Charles Bukowski, being him, and I love this man. Love you guys. I'm not. I'll say
flashback episode from KCET's Vaults, featuring a live reading from the iconoclast poet Charles Bukowski.
What? There's a movie on this guy right here.
I'm a poet. A poet. You know what poet? A poet. P-O-E-T.
You're the poet?
I'm the poet. What am I? I'm the poet.
What kind of a poet?
Modern. I've been in this neighborhood about 10 years.
I never saw you before.
You been in here much?
I live right in the neighborhood all the time.
Where, down on Normandy?
No, up here in Winona.
I guess we have different hangovers at different times.
I guess
That's
so.
all.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
You're a
well,
modern poet?
yeah, you should buy some. My name's Bukowski. Buy my books. Bukowski.
You?
Buke should rhyme with cute. Yeah. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Bukowski.
This is Charles Bukowski.
Well, just let me sit here and drink beer. You want some poems? Beg me. Amplitude, do you hear me? All right. I look good. That's better. Okay, let's get started. What the hell? Come on. Let's collect our money and get the hell out of here and really make it. Number one, the rat. With one punch, at the age of 16 and a half, I knocked out my father. A cruel Chinese bastard with bad breath. I didn't go home for some time, only now and then to try to get $1 from dear mama. It was 1937 in Los Angeles, and it was a hell of a Vienna. I ran with these older guys, but for them it was the same, mostly breathing hard air and robbing gas stations that didn't have any money. And a few lucky among us worked part-time as Western Union messenger boys. We slept in rented rooms that weren't rented. And we drank ale and wine with the shades down, being quiet, quiet. And then awakening the whole building with a fist fight, breaking mirrors and chairs and lamps, then running down the stairway just before the police arrived. Some of us soldiers of the future, running through those empty, starving streets and alleys of Los Angeles. And all of us getting together later in Pete's room, a small cube of space under a stairway. There we were, packed in there, without women, without cigarettes, without anything to drink, while the rich pawed away at their many choices, and the young girls left them, the same girls who spit at our shadows as we walked past. It was a hell of a Vienna. 3 of us under that stairway were killed in World War II. Another one is now a manager of a mattress factory. Me, I'm 30 years older. The town is 4 or 5 times as big, but just as rotten. And the girls still spit on my shadow. Another war is building for another reason. I can hardly get a job now for the same reason I couldn't then. I don't know anything. I can't do anything. Sex? Well, just the old ones knock on my door after midnight. I can't sleep, and they see the lights and are curious. The old ones, their husbands no longer want them. Their children are gone. If they show me enough good leg, the legs go last, I go to bed with them. So the old women bring me love, and I smoke their cigarettes as they talk, talk, talk. And then we go to bed again, and I bring them love. And they feel good and talk until the sun comes up, then we sleep. It's a hell of a Paris.
This is outside of a pharmaceutical building, and UN trucks are outside parked. See these armored vehicles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. What does Fascist Ford and his group of lackeys, jackbooting thugs, have planned?
Something's going on, folks. I looked on the visitor center for the UN, and everything is currently closed. United Nations headquarters is closed to public, and guided tours are temporarily suspended. They said that all the UN flags were removed too from the building. I called, here's the number. I called at like 3 o'clock my time, which is Eastern Standard Time, and nobody answered. So then I went to the webcam. The webcam is currently offline. Something's going on with the UN. This says it hasn't been up since 2009. unless there's another picture somewhere, but you can't look at it right now. Anyways, just bringing this to light. Somebody look into it. Maybe you can find out more on it. Appreciate you kicking it with me. I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Yeah, this is it. This is the neighborhood. You know, I was a postal clerk and a carrier. I've been around. I know this town. And I used to carry, I probably carried mail right on this street half a dozen times. I used to work all the stations as a sub. Yeah. I probably carry this street right here, you know. I know the town.
For how long?
Oh, I only carried 3 or 4 years. I was a clerk the rest of the time. But still, you know it that way. You learn the zone numbers. You get the stink of LA in your bones, you know. You know it. I think if I went to any other town, I couldn't write. You know, I got my roots on in. Post office was a hard gig, you know. I'd work all night, you know, 11 years clerking. Then I had to write. Get up and start drinking and writing, then go to work. Same thing, get up, drink and write. I had a little luck. Finally, I had to quit. You know why? I couldn't lift my arms anymore. They wouldn't lift up after a night's work. So I said, either got to get out of there or die, go crazy. I've been lucky. I get the rent, minor royalties, 20, 25 buck checks, you know, underground newspapers. Yeah, I make it. I don't know how long it's going to last. It's more real than what I was doing. At least it's all my time, you know. I get up when I want. I think the gods have been kind of good to me. Just kept me where I belong. Kept me where I belong. Not too much. Just right, you know. I can walk down the street, nobody knows me. Except the guys in the liquor store. They read something in the LA Times. Something came out. I go in for a beer, you know, buy some beer. This guy says, Wings of Song. He knows me. But anybody else, they don't know me. They don't know who the hell I am. And it's good. It's good. Look, he told me, all those little children dying in the trees. And I said, what? And he said, look. And I went to the window, and sure enough, here they were hanging in the trees, dead and dying. And I said, what does it mean? And he said, I don't know, it's authorized. The next day I got up and they had dogs in the trees, dead and hanging and dying. And I turned to my friend and I said, what does it mean? And he said, don't worry about it. It's a way of things. They took a vote. It was decided. And the next day it was cats. I don't see how they caught all those cats so fast and hung them in the trees, but they did. And the next day it was horses, and that wasn't so good because many branches broke. branches broke. And after bacon and eggs the next day, my friend pulled his pistol on me across the coffee and said, "Let's go." And we went outside. And here were all these men and women in the trees, most of them dead or dying. And he got the rope ready, and I said, "What does it mean?" And he said, "It's authorized, constitutional. It passed the majority." And he tied my hands behind my back, then opened the noose. "I don't know who's going to hang me," he said, "when I get done with you. I suppose when it finally works down, there'll be just one left and he'll have to hang himself." "Suppose he doesn't?" I asked. "He has to," he said. "It's authorized." "Oh," I said, "well, let's get on with it."
Someday people are going to realize LA is the place. And I bumped all over the world, man. You can't beat LA. I can fool anybody in this town, man. In Chicago, I'd be dead in 3 days. No, I mean, this is a town where you can hustle. You can lay on some guy's rug for 4 or 5 days, and you phone another phone number. You can lay on some other guy's rug. You know, I haven't done it, but I mean, it can be done. It gives you the feeling of security. People here are kind of open, you know. Like in New York, man, when you get down to your last dime, they're going to stomp your head in. It's an older culture. They do those things. LA is a wonderful town.
Now that's done with, it's time to have a look at your face. Take off your mask.
No.
Defiant to the end, You won't cry like him, will you? You're not afraid of death. You're like me.
The only thing that you and I have in common, Mr. Creedy, is we're both about to die.
How do you imagine that's going to happen?
With my hands around your neck.
Bollocks. What you gonna do, huh? We've swept this place. You've got nothing but your bloody knives and your fancy karate gimmicks. We have guns.
No, what you have are bullets, and the hope that when your guns are empty, I'm no longer standing, because if I am, you'll all be dead before you've reloaded.
That's impossible. Kill him.
My turn.
So, I read that the former United States is so desperate for medical supplies that they have allegedly sent several containers filled with wheat and tobacco. A gesture, they said, of goodwill. You want to know what I think? Well, you're listening to my show, so I will assume you do. I think it's high time we let the colonies know what we really think of them. I think it's payback time for a little tea party they threw for us a few hundred years ago. I say we go down to those docks tonight and dump that crap where everything from the ulcered sphincter of our Serica belongs. Who's with me? Who's bloody with me? Did you like that? USA, ulcered sphincter of our Serica. I mean, what else can you say? It was a country that had everything, absolutely everything. And now, 20 years later, is what? The world's biggest leper colony. Why? Godlessness. Let me say that again. Godlessness. It wasn't the war they started. It wasn't the plague they created. It was judgment. No one escapes their past. No one escapes judgment. You think he's not up there? You think he's not watching over this country? How else can you explain it? He tested us, but we came through. We did what we had to do. Islington, Enfield, I was there, I saw it all. Immigrants, Muslims, homosexuals, terrorists, disease-ridden degenerates. They had to go. Strength through unity. Unity through faith. I'm a God-fearing Englishman, and I'm goddamn proud of it.
That's quite